You are a thief. You must suffer for this. Gone out. Get her out!
Welcome to Reality Folktales TV. This channel is built on real human emotions, real choices, and real consequences. Our stories are thoughtfully created with the help of AI, guided by human values, insight, and intention. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's go.
The moment I called my ex-wife a thief in front of 500 people, I destroyed her. 4 minutes later, when she revealed the truth, I destroyed myself. What happened between those 4 minutes will haunt me until the day I die, and by the time you finish this story, you'll understand why some mistakes can never, ever be forgiven. The charity gala was the biggest event of the year in our city. Every important person you could think of was there, dressed in their finest clothes, pretending to care about orphan children while really just wanting to be seen. I hadn't wanted to come, but my new fiancée, Rachel, insisted. She loved these things, loved the attention, loved being photographed next to me. I was Jerry Williams, successful real estate developer, and wherever I went, people noticed. But when I walked into that ballroom and saw Janet standing there alone, something dark and cold wrapped around my chest. 3 years. It had been 3 years since our divorce, and she still had the power to make my blood boil. She looked different, thinner, her hair shorter than I remembered, and there was something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Something tired. Something broken. Good, I thought. She deserved to be broken after what she did to me. Quick pause, friend. I need to know something. Where are you watching this from right now, and what time is it where you are? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if this story is already getting to you, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel, because I promise you what happens next will shake you to your core. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Trust me. You'll want them to experience this. Now let's continue. Rachel squeezed my arm, leaning close to whisper in my ear. Is that her? Is that Janet? Her voice had that edge of excitement, like she was watching drama unfold on a television screen. She'd heard all my stories about Janet, how she'd cleaned out our joint account, how she'd left me with nothing but a note on the kitchen counter, how she'd refused to answer my calls or explain herself. Rachel believed every word because I believed every word. I had built an entire narrative in my head, and I lived in it like it was a castle made of facts. That's her, I said through clenched teeth. What's she even doing here? Rachel asked, her perfectly painted lips curling in disgust. She has some nerve showing her face at a charity event. Isn't she the one who stole from you? I didn't answer. I was too busy watching Janet move through the crowd like a ghost. Nobody seemed to notice her. She didn't talk to anyone. She just stood near the walls, her hands folded in front of her, her eyes distant. She looked like she was there but not really there, like her body was present but her spirit had fled somewhere far away. Then I saw it. She reached into her small purse, glanced around nervously, and slipped something into her pocket. My heart started pounding. Was she stealing here too? At a charity event for orphans? The rage that had been simmering in my chest for 3 years suddenly exploded into something I couldn't control. I'll be right back, I told Rachel. David, what are you doing? She called after me, but I was already moving through the crowd, my vision tunneling, my hands shaking with adrenaline. I walked straight up to the microphone on the small stage where the event organizer had just finished thanking everyone for their donations. People were clapping politely. I grabbed the microphone before anyone could stop me. Excuse me, everyone. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to say something important. The room went quiet. Hundreds of faces turned toward me. I could see confusion, curiosity, annoyance. The event organizer tried to take the microphone back, but I held it tight. My name is Jerry Williams, and 3 years ago my wife, that woman right there, I pointed directly at Janet, stole $50,000 from me and disappeared. She cleaned out our account, left me with nothing, and never explained why. And tonight, I just watched her steal something right here at this event. The gasp that went through the crowd was like wind through trees. People started whispering, turning to look at Janet. Someone pulled out a phone to record. I saw Janet's face go white, her mouth opening but no sound coming out. She looked like she wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. "Security," I called out, my voice booming through the speakers. "I want her searched, right now, in front of everyone." This was my moment. This was justice. This was the revenge I'd been dreaming about for 3 years. 2 security guards moved toward Janet. She didn't resist. She just stood there, trembling, tears starting to stream down her face. She looked so small suddenly, so fragile, nothing like the villain I'd painted her as in my mind. "Please," she whispered, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Please don't." "Empty your pockets," one of the security guards said, not unkindly. Janet's hands were shaking so badly she could barely move. Slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out what she'd taken. The room leaned forward collectively to see what stolen treasure would be revealed. It was a dinner roll. A single, plain dinner roll wrapped in a napkin. The security guard looked at it, looked at Janet, looked at me. Confusion spread across his face. "Ma'am, why did you take this?" Janet's voice came out broken, barely above a whisper. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was so hungry and I thought just one roll, nobody would notice, just one roll." The words hit me like bullets, each one puncturing holes in the story I'd built, the anger I'd carried, the righteousness I'd felt. I stood there with the microphone still in my hand, suddenly feeling like I was the one being exposed, the one standing naked in front of 500 people. "You haven't eaten in 2 days, someone in the crowd called out, "but you're wearing a nice dress." Janet looked down at her dress like she'd forgotten she had it on. "It's 5 years old. It's the only nice thing I have left. I came here because they said there would be a free meal for volunteers, and I've been volunteering at the orphanage for 6 months, and I needed to eat something." My throat felt like it was closing. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. She was supposed to be exposed as a thief, as a liar, as the villain who destroyed my life. She wasn't supposed to be standing there looking like a woman who'd been beaten down by the world, stealing bread like some character from a tragic novel. "But the money," I heard myself say, my voice sounding weak now, uncertain. "You took $50,000 from our account." Janet finally looked at me, really looked at me, and the pain in her eyes was so deep, so overwhelming, that I actually took a step back. "I used it to save your mother's life," she said. The room went completely silent, not a whisper, not a breath, just absolute crushing silence. "What?" The word fell out of my mouth. Janet's whole body was shaking now, but she kept talking, the words pouring out like she'd been holding them in for 3 years and couldn't contain them anymore. "Your mother called me 4 months before I left. She was crying. She told me she had stage 3 breast cancer, and she didn't want you to know because you just started your business, and she didn't want to be a burden. She made me promise not to tell you. The treatment wasn't covered by her insurance. It was $50,000. She said she'd rather die than ask you for money when you were trying to build your company." I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. "I didn't have that kind of money," Janet continued, tears flowing freely now. "So I took it from our account, all of it. I gave it to the hospital. Your mother got the treatment. She went into remission. She's alive, Jerry. She's alive because of that money." "But why didn't you tell me?" My voice cracked. "Why didn't you explain?" "I tried," Janet's voice rose, breaking with emotion. "I called you 17 times that first week. You wouldn't answer, you blocked my number, you told everyone I was a thief. You hired a lawyer and told him to destroy me in court. I wrote you letters, you sent them back unopened. Your mother begged me not to tell anyone because she was ashamed. She didn't want you to know she'd been sick, so I carried it alone. I lost everything alone." Someone in the crowd started crying. I could hear it, soft sobs echoing in the silent ballroom. "After the divorce I had nothing," Janet said, her voice hollow now. "No money, no job. My family disowned me because you told everyone I was a thief and they believed you. I've been living in a shelter for 2 years. I clean toilets at the orphanage in exchange for meals. Sometimes there aren't enough meals. Sometimes I go days without eating. But I never regretted it, Jerry, not once, because your mother is alive. My legs gave out. I actually fell to my knees right there on the stage, the microphone dropping from my hand and creating a loud feedback screech that made everyone wince. But I didn't care. I didn't care about anything except the horrible, crushing realization that I had destroyed an innocent woman. I had destroyed the woman who saved my mother's life. I had destroyed the woman I once promised to love and protect. Your mother visited me last month, Janet said quietly. She found out where I was staying. She came to the shelter. She cried and apologized and begged me to let her tell you the truth, but I said no. I said you'd made your choice and I didn't want her to lose her son because of me. I told her to let it go, to let me go. I looked up at Janet through tears. I didn't know I was crying. I didn't know. Janet, I swear I didn't know. You didn't ask, she said simply. You didn't trust me enough to ask. You just assumed the worst and built your whole life on that assumption. Rachel appeared at my side, her face pale. Jerry, we should go. This is embarrassing. I looked at her like I was seeing her for the first time. This woman I was going to marry. This woman who had encouraged my hatred. This woman who knew nothing about sacrifice or love or loyalty. Get away from me, I said. What? I said get away from me. We're done, it's over. Rachel's mouth fell open in shock, but I wasn't looking at her anymore. I was looking at Janet, this woman I'd tortured with my words and my silence and my assumptions. This woman who'd given up everything to save my mother and never asked for credit or gratitude or even basic human decency in return. The event organizer, an elderly woman named Mrs. Christine, walked onto the stage. She placed a gentle hand on Janet's shoulder. I think everyone here needs to hear the rest of Janet's story, Mrs. Christine said, her voice firm and clear. Janet has been volunteering at our orphanage for 6 months. She works longer hours than any paid staff member. She sleeps there some nights when she has nowhere else to go, and we let her because she's become family to those children. Last month, she gave her only winter coat to a little girl who was cold. Last week, she spent her last $3 on art supplies for the kids instead of food for herself. This woman has more integrity in her smallest finger than most people in this room have in their entire bodies. The crowd started clapping, slowly at first, then building into something powerful and overwhelming. People were wiping tears from their eyes. Someone shouted, "We love you, Janet." Others joined in. But Janet just stood there, looking tired and sad and completely unmoved by the applause. She looked at me one more time, and in her eyes, I saw forgiveness mixed with grief. She forgave me, but she also mourned what we could have been, what I'd destroyed with my pride and my anger and my refusal to trust. I should go, she said quietly, starting to walk toward the exit. Wait, I scrambled to my feet, nearly falling in my rush to reach her. Janet, please wait. Let me fix this. Let me help you. Let me do something. She paused, her back to me. For a moment I thought she might turn around, but she didn't. You can't fix this, Jerry. Some things, once broken, stay broken. You made your choice 3 years ago. You chose anger over trust. You chose pride over love. You chose to believe the worst of me instead of giving me a chance to explain. Those choices have consequences for both of us. I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll clear your name. I'll give you money. I don't want your money. Her voice was so tired. I never wanted your money. I just wanted you to trust me, to believe in me, to love me enough to ask questions before passing judgment. But you couldn't do that, and now it's too late. She walked out of the ballroom, and I stood there, frozen, watching her disappear through the doors. I wanted to run after her. I wanted to fall at her feet and beg for forgiveness. But my legs wouldn't move. My voice wouldn't work. I just stood there, completely paralyzed by the weight of my own mistakes. Mrs. Christine approached me, her eyes kind but firm. Your mother is in the hospital right now, you know. She had a minor scare yesterday. Nothing serious, but she's been asking for Janet. She asks for her every day. Says Janet is the daughter she always wanted. Says Janet saved her life in more ways than one. The words were like knives, each one cutting deeper than the last. I need her address, I managed to say. The shelter where she's staying. Mrs. Christine shook her head. Janet made me promise not to tell you. She said you'd done enough damage, and she didn't want your guilt money or your pity. She just wants to be left alone to rebuild her life. I destroyed her life. The words came out as a shout, raw and broken. I have to fix this. Some things can't be fixed, son. Sometimes all you can do is learn from your mistakes and try to be better going forward. Try to be the kind of man who deserves a woman like Janet, even if you can never have her again. The gala continued around me, but I was no longer part of it. I was a ghost, haunting the scene of my own cruelty. People whispered and pointed. Some looked at me with pity, others with disgust. All of them had witnessed my public humiliation, my devastating mistake, my complete and utter failure as a human being. I went to see my mother the next morning. She was in a hospital bed, looking small and frail but alive. When she saw me, she started crying. You know, I said, sitting beside her bed. I know, she whispered. Janet told me what happened at the gala. Mrs. Christine called her. Oh, Jerry, what have you done? Why didn't you tell me, Mom? Why didn't you let me know you were sick? Because you were just starting your business. You were so excited, so full of dreams. I couldn't bear to burden you with my problems. And Janet, sweet Janet, she understood. She didn't hesitate. She just gave everything to save me. She's an angel, Jerry, a real angel, and you treated her like a demon. I know. The words felt inadequate, too small to contain the enormity of my regret. She visits me, my mother said. Once a week she comes here and sits with me. She brings me flowers she picks from the park because she can't afford to buy them. She reads to me. She holds my hand. She never mentions you, never speaks badly of you. She just loves me like I'm her own mother, even after everything. I put my head in my hands and sobbed. Really sobbed, like a child, like a man whose entire world had shattered and couldn't be put back together. I want to make it right, I said through my tears. Then do better, my mother said firmly, grabbing my hand with surprising strength. Don't chase her, don't try to force forgiveness. She's been through enough. You want to honor her sacrifice. Then be better, help other people, give without expecting anything in return. Learn what real love actually means. Maybe someday, years from now, you'll be worthy of her again. Maybe not, but at least you'll be worthy of yourself. I spent the next 6 months unraveling the lies I'd told and the damage I'd done. I called everyone I'd badmouthed Janet to and told them the truth. I posted on social media, admitting my mistakes. Some people forgave me. Many didn't. I donated $100,000 to the shelter where Janet stayed, anonymously, through Mrs. Christine. I started volunteering at the orphanage, working alongside the children Janet had cared for. They told me stories about her. About how she bandaged their scraped knees, and told them bedtime stories, and made them feel loved when the world had abandoned them. I saw her sometimes from a distance. She never acknowledged me. She would walk past like I was invisible, like I was just another stranger in the crowd. It hurt more than anything I'd ever experienced, but I deserved it. I deserved every moment of that pain. One day, 8 months after the gala, I was at the orphanage helping paint a mural on the wall when one of the little girls, a 6-year-old named Lily, tugged on my sleeve. Mr. Jerry, are you the mean man who hurt Miss Janet? The question hit me like a punch to the stomach. Yes, I said, because lying to a child seemed like another sin I couldn't afford. I'm the mean man. Why were you mean to her? She's the nicest person in the whole world. I know she is. I was stupid and angry, and I didn't understand how special she was until it was too late. Lily thought about this for a moment, her little face serious. My daddy was mean to my mommy too. That's why we're here. That's why I don't have a family anymore. The parallel was unmistakable. I was that man. I was the villain in someone else's story. I was the reason for pain and brokenness and loss. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm so sorry. You should tell Miss Janet you're sorry. She's sad a lot. I see her crying sometimes when she thinks nobody's looking. The thought of Janet crying because of me, still crying after all these months, made me want to disappear. But disappearing was the coward's way out. I'd been a coward for too long. I saw my chance 2 weeks later. Janet was sitting alone on a bench outside the orphanage, her head tilted back, eyes closed, face turned toward the sun. She looked peaceful for the first time since I'd seen her at the gala. I didn't want to disturb that peace, but I had to try. I had to say something. I'm sorry, I said, standing a respectful distance away. I know those words aren't enough. I know they don't undo anything, but I need you to hear them. I'm sorry, Janet, for everything, for not trusting you, for not listening, for destroying your life, for being too proud and too blind to see what I had until I'd lost it forever. She didn't open her eyes, didn't move, just sat there in the sunlight like a statue. I don't expect forgiveness, I continued. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I know the truth now, about what you did for my mother, about what you've been through, about the kind of person you are, and I wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better, to be the kind of man who would have deserved you in the first place. Silence, just the sound of birds and distant traffic and my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then finally she spoke. Do you know what the worst part was, Jerry? Tell me. The worst part wasn't losing the money or the house or my reputation. The worst part was losing you, losing the man I loved, the man I thought I'd spend my life with. That's what broke me. Not the poverty, not the hunger, not the shame, just the loss of you, the loss of us. Tears were streaming down my face now, and I didn't try to hide them. I love you. I never stopped loving you. She finally opened her eyes and looked at me, really looked at me. You love an idea of me, Jerry, the woman you thought I was before all this, but you don't know who I am now. You don't know what these 3 years have done to me, what you did to me. I'm not the same person. I can never be that person again. Then let me know the new you. Let me start over. Let me earn your trust again. She stood up, brushing off her worn dress. Maybe someday, but not today, not this month. Maybe not this year. I need time. I need to heal. I need to remember who I am without you, without the pain, without the memories of what we were and what you destroyed. I'll wait, I said immediately. However long it takes, I'll wait. A sad smile crossed her face. Don't wait for me, Jerry. Live your life, be better, help people, love yourself enough to change. And if someday, somewhere down the road, our paths cross again and we're both different people, better people, maybe then we can talk. But don't put your life on hold for a maybe. That's not fair to either of us. She walked away then, leaving me standing there with nothing but regret and hope, and the crushing weight of understanding that some mistakes can't be unmade, some words can't be unsaid, some hearts can't be unbroken. I kept volunteering at the orphanage. I kept visiting my mother. I kept trying to be better, not for Janet, though part of me desperately hoped she'd notice, but for myself, for the man I wanted to be, the man I should have been all along. Listen, friend, if you're still watching, I need you to hear this. This story isn't just about Jerry and Janet, it's about all of us, about the assumptions we make, the judgments we pass, the people we hurt because we're too proud or too angry to ask questions, to seek truth, to offer grace. Before you accuse someone, before you judge them, before you decide they're the villain in your story, ask yourself, do I know the whole truth? Have I given them a chance to explain? Or am I just protecting my own ego, my own pain, my own version of events? The moral here is simple but devastating. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it might never fully heal. Words have power and accusations have consequences. Before you destroy someone's reputation, their livelihood, their spirit, make absolutely certain you know the truth. because you can't take back the damage once it's done. You can't unring that bell. And if you're someone like Janet, someone who's been wrongly accused, who's sacrificed everything and received nothing but pain in return, please know this. Your integrity matters more than other people's opinions. The truth always comes out eventually. Not everyone will believe it. Not everyone will care. But you'll know who you are, what you did, and why you did it. That's worth more than all the approval in the world. 1 year after the gala, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name written in handwriting I recognized immediately. My hands shook as I opened it. Jerry, I'm writing this because Mrs. Christine says you've changed. The children at the orphanage say you're kind now. Your mother says you visit her every day and that you've become the son she always knew you could be. I want to believe them. Part of me does believe them. I'm not ready to see you yet. I'm not ready to forgive. But I'm not angry anymore. That's progress, I think. The anger was eating me alive and I had to let it go to survive. So I'm letting it go, not for you, for me. Keep being better. Keep helping those kids. Keep loving your mother. And maybe someday, when we're both truly healed, we can sit down and talk. Really talk. Not about the past, but about who we've become. About whether two broken people can ever really fit together again, or if we're just pieces of different puzzles now. Until then, be well. Janet. I read that letter 100 times, 1,000 times. I kept it in my pocket, close to my heart, a reminder of what I'd lost and what I might maybe someday, somehow have a chance to rebuild. I never stopped trying to be better. I never stopped hopping. But I also learned to live with uncertainty, with the possibility that some things stay broken, and that's just how life is sometimes. You do the best you can with the pieces you have left, and you try not to break anything else along the way. So now I'm asking you, friend, what would you have done? If you were Jerry, would you have asked questions first? If you were Janet, would you have found a way to tell the truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know what this story made you feel. If this story touched you, if it made you think, if it broke your heart the way it broke mine, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's quick to judge. Someone who's been wrongly accused. Someone who needs to remember that there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface. And remember, before you point your finger and call someone a thief, a liar, a villain, make absolutely certain you know the truth. Because the person you destroy might be the very person who saved your life. And by the time you realize your mistake, it might be too late to ever make it right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring enough to stay until the end. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, be kind. Be careful with your words. And always ask questions before you pass judgment.
Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. May your day be blessed,